Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Zenphi to automate invoice routing and approval processes very quickly. So the idea is that your suppliers, your contractors, people working with you, they email their invoices to a specific inbox. You want to monitor this inbox for incoming emails, identify if it's a valid invoice, and then take steps accordingly. Now, for our scenario, first I'm going to show you the finish flow. Then we're going to go and create one from scratch together. So, as I mentioned, our flow starts when an email arrives into an inbox. The very first thing we do is we want to establish if it's a valid email, valid invoice email. Now, by default, there are two conditions we have set. One is, first of all, if the email has got attachment, and second of all, if there's the board invoice is mentioned in the subject. Now you can change it to your needs and add many more complex rules in here. Now, if we establish that it's not a valid email, we just walk away. We're not going to execute. If we establish that's a valid email, we're going to continue. We're going to do a bit of housekeeping work here and extract the exact email address, who is sending it from. Then we're going to use a Google Sheet to look up the internal employee handling that specific supplier. So once we know the sender's email address, we're gonna go use that sheet to look up who is the internal person handling this supplier, who is the person needs to do the first approval of the invoice who's coming from this specific supplier. And also we save the invoice to a specific folder in our Google Drive, the folder which is specific to that supplier. Again, that information will come from the lookup supplier. And then we go and assign a task to the employee to review and approve the invoice. If it's not approved, then we go and notify the supplier saying that because of reasons mentioned below, it's not approved, and terminate the flow. If it's approved, however, then as a next step, we're going to go and assign a task to our account payable team to proceed and pay the invoice. They have a look at it. They will also review it, and if they reject it, we also go and notify the supplier. Now, that's a quick summary about what we're going to do. All right, now let's go and create one from scratch. Let's click on here, and like everything else, we're going to click on create new flow. Um, and from bottom right, I select a supplier invoice routing and approval. Click on create. I'm using one of the out-of-the-box Zenphi templates, so it needs a bit of configuration. I just call this Aven Avengers Avengers supplier invoice approval. On the right hand side, there's a bit of configurations we need to do. On the left hand side, you've got a bit of description about the template and how you can set it up. Now, so that you don't have to go and configure each and every action manually, our team has done a bit of work in a background to list down all the connections used in this flow. So you can specify them here and then get started. You can use this drop down to select a connection, and if there isn't any connection available, you can use the plus button to create one. So first one is the drive connection. Second one is the email connection to send email from. So we use this one to send email from to our suppliers. And the third one, email connection for receiving invoices. This is the mailbox we want to monitor for incoming emails and get the invoice emails from. And also we need a Google Sheet connection to be able to do a lookup. At the bottom, um, this is a bit of configuration required so that you can enable Zenphi to copy all the assets required to run this flow to your Google Drive. So in this case, we need it's going to deploy Google Sheet and a Google folder. So I've specified the connection I'm going to use. I've already created a flow template folder called templates here. I'm going to select that template folder. It's down here. I selected and then I'm going to say use this template. Now we give it a few seconds. So what it's going to do in the background is going to deploy, as you can see, copy a few the assets required to run the flow to this folder. So it creates a folder for Avenger invoices, and if I go in there, you've got this these assets required, and also it takes us to the flow. Now we are almost there. You just need to do a bit more, a few more configuration, and then we can just press the publish button. So as you can see, we're going to monitor this mailbox. I leave the conditions as they are. Let's go to the suppliers mapping, and here is a lookup table that the flow uses to look up the internal handler and the folder ID for the supplier. So in this case, I'm gonna say, because I'm gonna send an email from this email account. If email comes at from this email account, go and assign it to. I'm gonna assign it to this employee. Let me get the email address. Copy. Come back here. Assign it to this email employee, and also you can have a specific folder to that for that supplier. So for that, I go here and create a new folder called Starco. Open it up, copy the ID from here. So you don't really have to do this. If you want to put everything in the same folder, that's also up to you. And then even this one, if you don't have to do this lookup table. If you want to assign all the incoming um, invoices to one person. Now here you can go and add as many items as you want. You can say if it's coming from example at example.com, assign it to person 2 at demo.zenphi.com, and also this is the folder XYZ. Now for our case, we don't not gonna do that for a simplicity of demo. So we are all good there. um, However, there's one more thing we need to do down here. If you scroll all the way down, there is there's an action called assign task to account payable. So you need to enter an email for your account payable. For our scenario, I'm gonna use this user's email, so it's gonna be Odwin.Clarkson at demo.zenphi.com, and we are all good and set. I'm gonna save the flow and then press publish. Okay, now that we've published the flow, actually let's go and run a test. Let me switch back to this other user. I've got an email ready to be sent. One of this is the supplier is going to send us an email, um, and I've got an attachment and a Word email, a Word invoice in the subject. I'm going to just press send. Let's switch back here and let's go to the flows, and then I'm going to look at the recent runs of this flow. Let's see if it's landed in our mailbox. Yes, it has landed in our mailbox. If I go back here, I should see a new instance being executed. Yes, the instance of our flow is being executed. And if I go to the folder, I should see the attachment got saved into the folder specified for the supplier, and I believe it's caught up with the sending an email to to this person. Yeah, we've got the task. So this is the internal employee who's gonna review and approve it. Just gonna approve the invoice. Click here. You can see all the information here. We can customize this form however if we want to. We can attach the actual document to it as well. Gonna press submit. So once submitted, switch back here. Now it's gonna go back to the next step and assign a task to our account payable team. In our case, I specified the same user as account payable. So if I go to the inbox, I must have received, yes, this is the task I've received. And then I can, it says call Slater at demo.zenphi.com has already approved it because I was an internal person, internal employee handling that supplier. I'm gonna press approve, and it should progress the flow and mark it as completed. As you can see, in less than 10 minutes, we were able to automate one of the most common scenarios in organizations, which is also very labor intensive and mundane, and put it on autopilot. And I'm sure putting this process on autopilot is going to make a lot of your employees really happy and increase your organizational productivities a lot. Also, please note that you can customize this flow to suit your requirements, and it's quite easy. For example, in our scenario, we wanted to look up suppliers from a sheet. In your case, you may not want to do that, or you may want to look them up from a database or from a CRM system with Salesforce or other systems. So it's totally up to you. You can even go further and customize it, add more approval tasks. And in our case, we're just getting two approvals. You may want to get more, or even you may want to get it, the approval digitally signed by your head of department or your general manager. It's all really easy with Zenphi. You just drag and drop the actions you want. You make a few configuration changes, and then it says once you've made the configuration changes, it's as easy as pressing the publish button. Everything in Zenphi is really, really easy to use. Our product team do a lot of work in the background to make it really easy for you. However, we still need your feedback to make it even better. So if you've got any feedback, any suggestions, please reach out to us on feedback.zenphi.com or support@zenphi.com. Thank you very much and have a great day.